Why do we read obituaries? Yeah. See who died? I want to make sure it's not my obituary I'm reading. Yeah? So hopefully we read obituaries to learn about the person or the organization that died. What did they accomplish? What did they do in their life? Because I've been told the most important thing you can do in your life is what happens between the day you're born and the day you died. What did you do? What did you do? So when I first came up with this presentation, so I joined Lions on May 16th, and my join date is in LCIS, May 17th, 2017. I had no idea who he was at the time, but Bob Corlew from my district was the international president. So I joined 6 weeks before the end of his term as international president. So I'm not wearing it here because you never know, glare, lights and stuff, you know, what's going to show on the camera. But I proudly wear my Centennial Lions member pin because Bob Corlew has actually become a good friend of mine. And then the other pin I wear is my Melvin Jones award that my club just gave me a couple of months ago. So 2017, so July 2017, I attended my first district meeting. It was an organizational meeting. I was brand new. I didn't know what in the world was going on. So I was wondering, like, what happens in the kitchen? What makes a district run? What makes a Lions club run? What makes Lions run? Is that we were District 12S, or we are District 12S. And I was asking so many questions. I was surprised I was not kicked out of the meeting because I knew so little. But the next year at the organizational meeting, I found out that we lost 2 Lions clubs. They turned in their charter. I was like, a Lions club can die? Why would a Lions club die? Isn't everyone a Lion as excited about being a Lion as I am? What would make a Lions club die? And that just percolated in the back of my brain for a few years, well, until March of this year. I got an email from the event organizer for the Tennessee Lions Learning Retreat that said, hey, we had to reschedule because of COVID from January to April. Some of our speakers can't reschedule. Would you like to do a presentation? I was like, well, you know, I've always wondered, why do Lions clubs die? Well, maybe I can come up with a presentation on why Lions clubs die. So I sat and thought about it for a little bit, and I said, hey, I want to do a session, and I want to talk about an autopsy of deceased Lions club. Why Lions clubs die. And he was like, brilliant, that's great, do it. And then as a young Lion, I was like, well, crap, now what do I do? How do you do a presentation? You know, I speak all over the world at IT conferences. IT stuff, I know. I've spoken in, I think, 17 foreign countries at events and stuff. This is going to be my first non-technical event to speak at. What do you do? Well, I had to come up with, why do I think Lions clubs die? Had to come up with interview questions. I had to interview Lions. Why do you think Lions Clubs die? You know, all this stuff. I had 3 weeks to come up with this slide deck and interview at that time about 80 Lions from around the world while working a full-time job as a field CTO for a company out of Barcelona, Spain. So it was a lot of work, took a lot of time. I enjoyed it. Now, I'm colorblind, and I had absolutely no depth perception, as the guy who saw me backing out of the parking lot when I went to the other building could attest to, as I backed out trying to find my way back around to here. I don't have any depth perception. So my youngest daughter, Megan, I put all this stuff in a Word document, send it to her, and what you're going to see is my daughter's creation. Yeah, I came up with everything, but if you want everything other than white text on a black background, you can thank my daughter for this. So why am I here? Why did the Lions of Kentucky ask me to come here? Well, during 1920 to 1941, Kentucky and Tennessee were one district. That's off your website. I think that's what Brent sent me. That's not 100% accurate. That original district from 20 to 1941 actually was all of Kentucky, all of Tennessee, the northern part of Louisiana, and the northern part of Mississippi. The first district governor that LCI still has not been able to find out who it was from Shreveport, Louisiana. 1920, 1941, that's long before the days of interstate. So I cannot imagine a district governor in Shreveport, Louisiana making the trip all the way up to northeast Kentucky, or worse, all the way to northeast Tennessee on 2-lane roads. I sure hope they had good mileage reimbursement back then. So March 1941, Kentucky was assigned District 43, with Lion Chris Russell of Maysville serving as its first district governor. And then at the 41 State Convention, delegates voted to adopt the MD governor's plan to become effective at the beginning of the 1941 through 42 fiscal year. Well, my daughter actually Googled and she found this from a early 70s newspaper, I think from McLean County newspaper. Yeah, and so here's an ad she found from like 1971, 72. That's still sitting out there on the internet from the Calhoun Lions Club. In 1941-42, Kentucky was divided into districts K and Y. Can't find a map of that. 46 through 47, Kentucky was divided into 4 districts. KEN and Y, and 67 through 68, Kentucky was divided into 6 districts. KENTCY. And then in 2019, we went back down to 2 districts, K and Y. Now, here's the sobering facts. At its peak in the late 1980s, MD43 had over 230 clubs and over 9,000 members. At the end of 2022 Lion year, K had 70 clubs, 1,925 members. Y had 82 clubs, 1,775 members. You see where we're going here? Given MD43, 152 clubs, 3,700 members, which is a decline of 35% in clubs, 59% decrease in members. That's bad. So most of the data I have is from 2018 through 2022. One district governor or someone sent me a report from 2012. So these are the clubs that you lost in 2012, and then 2018, 2019, 2020, didn't find anything in the data that was sent to me for 2021, then you lost these clubs in 2022. What we don't have, and I've asked LCI for this, we got it for another multiple district that I'm presenting to in November, but we have no idea how many members were in each of those clubs when they died, or how many members they had at their peak, so that we could find out just from these clubs how many members you lost. So I started out, when I was creating the presentation, I had to come up, I came up with 8 reasons that Webster believes Lions clubs die. And then as I interviewed Lions from around the world, some of them gave me some interesting information, and I added it to my 8 points. And I'll tell you that if a bullet point comes from an interviewed Lion, but these are the reasons that I came up with. Slow erosion. What does that mean? A club slowly dies because members die, members leave, and there are no new members. It's hard to keep a club alive if you start with 100 members, then you go down to 80, 60, 40, 20, 5, 2. And the remaining 2 members are in their 80s, and they've been Lions for over 60 years, and they're just tired. Live in the past. The good old days become the hero, the king of the club. What we did in the past. One Lion told me, as a matter of fact, I believe it was a Kentucky Lion, said, we can't stay in reverse. Lions, your club, each person must continue going forward. You have to grow personally, you have to grow your club, you have to grow your district, and I'm not just talking about members, in membership. You have to grow as an individual, you have to learn to lead, because if you're not a good leader, no one wants to follow you. You have to continue growing in all areas of your life. And I'm sure our right high holy most reverend Lion David Moose would say, you got to make sure you keep growing in your spiritual growth too. Here's what one Lion from another country. So I've interviewed Lions in 7 continents, 18 time zones. The only continent I've not found a Lion, Antarctica. So I've interviewed Lions from all over the world. One Lion said, while a club's history and its legacy and its heritage is important, it does not pay the bills, nor does it serve the community. I don't care what you did in the 70s. I don't care what you did in the 80s or the 90s or the early 2000s. What are you doing now to serve your community? You can say, we raised $100,000 back in 1978 and built the whatever Lions Club playground, ballpark, whatever. What have you done this year? What are you doing now? The club doesn't know how to look to the future, because most people spend so much time in the past. Me? I mean, I'm just now finding out about stuff my grandmothers did. I never knew either of my grandfathers. So I love talking to people back in Tennessee who knew my grandparents or my aunts and uncles. And my paternal grandmother, I think, had 11 or 13 kids. I think 9 survived to adulthood. So there's a lot of aunts and uncles, and there are a whole lot of cousins to talk to. I'm running for 2nd Vice District Governor next year for 12S. One of my club visits, I actually found a lady at that club who worked at an old shoe factory in McMinnville, Tennessee with my maternal grandmother. Boy, did we bond. So history is good. My kids, my grandkids, are not so much interested in that. Now here's one. So a lion told me, look at our logo. There's a lion looking to the past. There's a lion looking to the future. Now the other night, my wife and I were going through the slide deck just to make sure there were no typos, everything clicked when it was supposed to click and all this stuff. And to me, I found this humorous. I hope you find it humorous too. When I looked at this logo on my big computer monitor, those are not the same two lion's heads. They're not. They're very different. So what I found humorous, this is a younger lion looking to the future. If you look at this one, to me, this looks like an older lion. There's more white in the hair. There's, more white in the whiskers. The whiskers are just laid back, where the younger lion, the whiskers are like, woo, like that. So I found it humorous to me that it looks like you got an older lion looking to the past and a younger lion looking to the future. And I just saw that 2 days ago. So the club refused to look like the community. What does the community look like versus what does the club look like? If you came into my Lions Club, your first thought is going to be, this is a club for old white people. I'll be 66 next month, and I'm one of the youngest lions in my club. I always tell people I'm a young lion because I'm just now starting my 6th year as a lion. But I'll be 66. I'm one of the youngest lions. We have a girl who's 41 in the club, and she really skewers that average age down. But we have most of our members are probably between 78 and 88, 89, 90 years old. Preference driven. What does that mean? We don't do it that way here. I know none of y'all have ever heard that or said that. We tried that so many years ago and it didn't work, so why try it again? And the worst, I would rather the club die than see anything change. That's bad. Because that's saying more about you as an individual than you care to admit. Membership tenure declines. While there are many lions with 20, 30, 40, 50 or more years, I've interviewed several lions with over 60 years as a lion. I missed by a couple of weeks interviewing a lion of 72 years. He passed away before I could interview him. 72 years. So, one of the lions I interviewed is a past international president. I had always heard that the average retention rate for a new lion was 3.4 years. So I asked him, you're a past international president, surely you got connections at LCI. Can you get the actual data for this? He emailed me 2 days later, or actually he called me and said globally, so this is not United States, this is not North America, this is globally, 53% of new lions leave before their 3rd anniversary. And those who have a math mind or a statistics mind are sitting there going, well, if I started year 1 with 100, and at year 3, those 100 are now down to 47. In year 2, I started with 100. In year 3, I'm going to have a rolling average of, we're we're going to be dead within the next 10, 20 years as an organization. Some of the things that you're going to see in this presentation are to help stop that, are to help stop clubs from dying. Money. Membership is too expensive. Lots of people, I would say 99% of the people I interviewed said that that $35 application fee or whatever it's called is a $35 tax on becoming a Lion and should be done away with. Because most Lions can't afford the $35. In most clubs that I have visited and club presidents that I have interviewed have said the club pays that $35 because they don't want the member having to fork out $35 just to become a Lion. Disagreements about what to fund. We're going to fund this. No, we need to fund this. No, we need to fund this. No, we're going to fund this. And, we get fights about money. And, if you read marital statistics, the number one cause of divorce in America is money problems. We're going to spend only on the local community. Some members don't want the district or LCI forcing them to give to White Cane or LCI projects. So this is the one that puzzles me. I have visited clubs where the club president, the club treasurer, and literally every club member says, we don't give 1 penny to White Cane or LCIF. We raise the money in our community, we're going to spend the money in our community. I just have a question. We just had tornadoes in Tennessee, flooding in Tennessee, natural disasters in Tennessee. I think I've heard a rumor y'all have had those in Kentucky. Yeah. And so I asked them, if your town was hit by a tornado and LCIF sent you a check for $10,000, are you going to refuse it because you don't support LCIF? No, you're not going to turn down $10,000. One treasurer asked me, well, who gets to decide how that $10,000 is spent? And I said, your club, your president, your board, your treasurer. There are guidelines that you have to follow, but it's up to you because you know what your community needs out of that $10,000. And I said, White Cane. Now, I don't know what your White Cane projects are, but in Tennessee, we've got World Sight Services based out of Little Rock. We got the Tennessee School for the Blind and Deaf. We got Middle Tennessee Lion Sight Services. These organizations are helping people who have a lot of vision issues, hearing issues, need eye surgeries and stuff like that. There are people from your community. I'm speaking to Lions in Tennessee. There are people in your community that are going to the Tennessee School for the Blind or Deaf, or going through MPLSS for eye surgery, or going to Vanderbilt University for eye issues. You don't know about it, but guess what? White Cane is funding all that. By you not giving to White Cane, you are limiting the money to help people in your community that you don't even know about that are going to these organizations. Having a building is an albatross, a noose around the club's neck. Our club has a building. Melvin Jones came down in 1950, laid the cornerstone for our building. The building was built in the late 40s. And building quality was not, obviously was not good because our dishwasher died. We had to replace the dishwasher. When they pulled the dishwasher out, all that plumbing in the wall was that old pipe from the 40s, and it just turned to dust. Had to get a plumber to come out and actually remove the wall, replace all the plumbing, and then had to replace all the sinks and all that stuff. That was not cheap. And as clubs shrink, you have fewer members left to pay the dues, to pay the insurance and the maintenance, stuff like that. So buildings lost sight of the mission. LCI's motto is we serve. So Lions serve. We should be serving our community. We should be doing service projects. But unfortunately, there are a lot of clubs that are no longer a service organization. They have become a social club. Now, I got convicted on this at the USA-Canada Leadership Forum because I'm the guy that gets all the food for our club, and I'm the guy that put our club on Facebook. Since I'm the young techie guy, I got our club on Facebook, and this guy at USA-Canada Forum said, if I look at your Facebook page, am I going to see pictures of all your meals and all your food? Or am I going to see pictures of your service? I was like, crap. All I've got on there is pictures of all the food and our meals. I was like, oh, yeah, we really don't do that many service projects other than ice screening, and what else do we do? Oh, yeah, we help 5 Loaves for Kids for 30 minutes on a Thursday. You know, send food from a food truck down a conveyor belt into their building, and we got 4 Lions that do that. Boom, we got 2 hours of service that week. And I'm like, okay, what else can I put pictures of on Facebook of service that my club is doing? I'll get back to you on that. Which tells you how many service projects we don't do. But we have become a social club. Most of our club meetings are around food, not around service or planning service or doing service. So one Lion in a country outside the U.S. said that his country actually has a term for these. They're called knife and forkers. And another Lion of over 60 years said he calls them people who come to eat, burp, and leave. These are people who come to socialize and eat only. They will not help you in any fundraising effort. They will not help you in any service project. But by George, they're going to be a member, so in their obituary, they can say they were a long-term serving member of such and such Lion Club for 40, 50, 60 years. They didn't do anything for 40, 50, 60 years, but they were a member, and they paid their dues, and they ate their food. Isn't that what Lions do? No. The club had no clear purpose. Why was the club started? Most clubs were started back in the 20s, 30s, 40s by businessmen. They were business clubs. It was there for networking. Yeah, they did some service, but these were the presidents of the banks and the insurance companies and the manufacturing plants, and you had the titans of your businesses and industry in your community that started the Lions Club because they had the name and the prestige to go out there and get that 20 members to start the club. Who was the club serving? Themselves? Or were they serving their community? If they're serving their community, it's more than likely a club that's not dying. And we're not talking about them here. What was the purpose of the members being Lions? I joined Lions May 16th. Technically, LCI says May 17th, 2017. When did I become a Lion? The first ice screening I did, and got a girl that I go to church with, and we found out that she was so blind. Her sight was so bad that there was No wonder she was struggling in school. Try not to cry. But then she got the nurse from the school, contacted her mom and dad. Now she has glasses, and now she's driving and she's working, and she's a beautiful young lady. And that's when I became a lion. They forgot why they became a lion. Do they remember that their heart, their passion for service? Or was it just going to be like Rotary or some other club? I'm going to join, and hopefully, you see, I'm in insurance, and I got to see how many people I can sell insurance to. Oh, it's been 4 months. I haven't sold anyone any insurance. This isn't for me. Or do they actually join to serve? So survey questions. So after I came up with my list of reasons, I decided I needed to talk to other lions. And I just had some questions for them. Now, this is strictly empirical evidence. There's no statistical relevance to anything. It's just lions who answered the call on the Global Lions Forum Facebook group, lions who answered or who saw my post on Facebook, or district governors sent out, in their newsletter that, hey, there's this lion in Tennessee named Webster who's wanted to interview lions about why Lions clubs die. So I wound up interviewing, like I said, about 80 lions. I mean, all continents except Antarctica, 18 time zones, lots of people. So what did I come up with? Now, the 7 questions I came up with, most of them you're going to say, well, that's funny. The answers to any one of these could be the answer for any of these. And there's one answer in particular that can be given to just about any of the 7 and was by far the number one given answer. All the answers you're going to see are in alphabetical order, not weighted in any statistical relevance by how many people gave that answer. So why does a lion not attend meetings? Whether it be club meetings, district meetings, multi-district meetings, state conventions, USA, Canada Forum, international conventions. Why do they not attend? Apathy. Didn't feel wanted. This is toward the end of my interviews, I came across hearing issues. So what I found out, and y'all have been the best so far. There's been not a lot of murmuring, no side conversations and stuff. But lions with hearing issues, especially those whose egos don't allow them to get hearing aids, or even those who have the fancy Bluetooth hearing aids that go through their phone and, and all these other devices and stuff like that. When you start having side conversations and all that murmuring and stuff is going on, they can't hear the speaker, even if the speaker is talking loud into a microphone. They can't hear at all. They don't hear anything. So if fellow lions are going to be so rude and inconsiderate as to have side conversations and all this murmuring, and I can't hear anything and I can't get anyone to stop talking, and they don't pay attention to the district governor or council chair or whoever to be quiet, why bother going to the meetings? I can't hear anything that's going on, so why go? The number one answer by far, I know there's no statistical relevance, but this is number one: long, boring, insignificant meetings where nothing is accomplished. Boring meetings. Did I mention boring? Do people love coming to your meetings? Are they excited? Oh, it's 5:30, only an hour until my club meets. I can't wait to go to my club meeting because it's going to be so boring. Or are they just like, Dallas Cowboys play at 7, club meeting at 6:30, Cowboys club meeting, yeah, I want to watch the Cowboys. Wow, yeah, sorry, I'm a Cowboys fan, in case you couldn't tell. More, member conflicts. Member conflicts. Where members, and this is from interviews and actual club meetings I've been to, members will yell, scream at each other, throw tantrums, stomp their feet. If I can't get my way, screw you, I'm out of here, and they walk out the door. Where's kindness? Where's putting other people first? This is a new one I just got from Kentucky Lion. Hey, I'm retired. I'm now a snowbird. I live half the year here and half the year here, and I may travel around. You know, I may visit other clubs, but I'm not coming to my club meeting because, well, man, I'm in Scottsdale, Arizona, where it's nice and warm, and it wasn't 39 degrees this morning. And time conflicts. You got kids. You got all these travel leagues. I mean, heck, there's what, 6 softball teams at that hotel we're staying at? Yeah. There's a lot, and they're all talking about, we need to have us a church service on Sunday because we're all going to be out playing games all Sunday. You know, what can we do to get together? Yeah, I'm just like, I don't know. I always thought church came before, but anyway. So why would a lion quit a club? Ooh, look at that first alphabetical one. Bored. Meetings are boring. They may have one service project a year, and that's in September when you do site screenings. Again, the health, the hearing loss. If everyone is conversing while the club president, we call ours a king lion, you know, if your club president's up there trying to do the meeting and everyone's having all these side conversations and I can't hear you because even with my fancy hearing aids, I can't hear you. Why would I stay in the club? And again, member conflicts, toxic personalities. A lot of these member conflicts, some people just like to antagonize other people. Some people just like being grumpy and being a curmudgeon and just disagreeing just to disagree. Just because they like to irritate people. So here's one, brand new. I interviewed some lions in a mostly Muslim African country. Security. Did you know that most Muslims see Lions as a Christian organization, even though we are a non-religious organization? Did you know that some imams actually have I think they call it a fatwa against lions? Meaning if they see you with anything lions related, they will kill you. And these members, they never wear a membership pin. They don't wear anything lions related. They have no lions emblems, nothing lion related at their meetings. Because they're afraid of being killed for going to a Lions Club meeting. Now, those are people who want to be lions and who want to serve, even under the threat of death. Why do some long-tenured members refuse changes to help their club survive or thrive? Fear change. Feel uncomfortable with change. Set in their ways. They don't want diversification. Just this past Tuesday, I did a kind of a reverse tail twister for our Lions Club. So part of my running for second vice district governor, I'm also the district admin for our district. And as part of that, what I do is I keep track of all the new Lions that are coming into our district, and I send them a letter. Hey, welcome, new Lion. Here's some information for you. Here's the information we have. Here's your address, phone number, email address. If any of this is incorrect, contact your club secretary or contact me, we'll get it fixed. But then, hey, you are Lions belong to a club. You are a member of this club name, that is part of this zone, that is part of this region, that is part of this district, that is part of this multiple district, that is part of this constitutional area, that is part of Lions Club International. Then I go in and explain all that so that they know what is a club, what's a zone, what's a region, what's a multiple district, what does the 43 represent. If I walked up to a Lion who had been a Lion for 2 or 3 months, and I asked them, what's the 43 for? What does it represent? Could they tell me? If I asked them what zone were they in, could they tell me? Will they even know what a zone is? So just things like that are what I'm putting in my Welcome to Lions letter to new Lions, so that they understand some of the basics. Why do some long-tenured members seem fixated on their club's past? It's their comfort zone. Well, history's not bad. I don't like change. Well, that's what they grew up with. That's what they've been doing since the 40s or 50s or 60s, and I don't see any reason to change. It worked for us back in the 50s. It should work for us now. Even though society has changed, your community has changed. We were younger then, and times were better. And that's what we want to remember. Why do newer members have a short tenure? After induction as a new Lion, the sponsor never does anything. I told you about that first district meeting I went to, where I was asking all kinds of questions. I love my sponsor. I go to church with him. He was one of my church elders. But I had been a Lion 2 months when I went to that first district meeting. I had, what the heck is a PID? What's a PDG? What's a tail twister? What's a zone? What's a region? What's all this acronyms they're using? I'm a military brat. I spent 10 years, in the 156th U.S. Army Band in the Louisiana Army National Guard. I know acronyms and initialisms. I haven't seen anything until I got into Lions. I was like, man, these people must have been started by someone in government or military. I've never seen so many acronyms and initialisms in my life. And all I did was just ask questions. Well, the thing of it is, if I had been a Lion for 2 months, why didn't I know what a PDG was? Why didn't I know what an international director was? Or a PID? We were District 12S. I thought that meant we were the southernmost district. It wasn't until May of 2018 when I went to my first state convention, right there on the program, District 12L, 12I, 12O, 12N, 12S. Oh, it spells Lions. We're the S in, duh. Now, one of the clubs I visited, there was a lady in there who's been a Lion for over 25 years. She was like, it doesn't mean Southern? I was like, no, she's never been to a district meeting, state, anything. She thought it meant, because Tennessee is so wide, she thought it was left, inner, outer, northern, southern. So just because you've been a Lion for 25 years doesn't mean you actually understand some of the basic concepts of your district or multiple district or Lionism. So here we go. no orientation or training, they're lost, they're clueless. In my opinion, no one should reach the 1 month anniversary of being a lion and not be able to answer those questions. They should be able to tell you what the 43 means in MD 43, or what 43K or 43Y, what that 43 is. They should be able to tell you what zone they're in. I don't know if y'all do regions. They should be able to tell you what region they're in. Who's the district governor? Who? So, in my reverse tail twister, I started out with $200. I had sent everyone in my club that letter, so everyone knew what zone they were in, region, multiple district, what a zone was, what a region was, everything. And I told them, when you get this letter, read it and study it. You're going to need this information. I got up there, not one person could tell me what zone they were in, or what region they're in, or what the 12 meant. Had $200 to give away. I think I wound up giving away $3 after a round of questions. The only one who answered is I said, all right, we're MD12. Who's MD1? And that young girl I was telling you about, she said, Illinois? All right, there's $1. At the end, because I know the tail twister money goes into the admin, and man, our admin account really needs money. I said, look, I got $190 left. Who can tell me who the current second vice district governor is? No. And previous to that, no one could tell me who the district secretary was or the district treasurer was. I wasn't going to ask them about district governor or first vice district governor because they had just been there the previous meeting. So they should at least know that. But even though I had given them all the answers, no one could answer any of the questions. Of course, now, I excluded the 4 lions that go to every district meeting in our past council chair. So those 4 lions, they couldn't answer any of the questions because I knew the past council chair would get everything right. Except for, all right, United States is the first country. Canada is obviously the second country that adopted lionism. What was the third country? Not a rhetorical question. What was the third country to adopt lionism? China. What was number 4? Mexico. Where was the first Lions International Convention held? Dallas, correct. All right, let's go on. Oh, but no, hold on a sec. Don't want to go on. The night before my presentation on April 2nd, so actually April 1st, the night of April 1st, I'm sitting there at my table. Now, I know none of you are going to believe it, but I'm a shy, quiet, introverted person. I go into the dinner, I go to the far back table and sit down because I don't like, I'm not meaning to insult anybody, I don't like being around people, I don't like being with people, I don't like meeting new people because I can't remember names, and the clubs I visit, I promise them that by June 30th, 2026, when my district governor year ends, I will remember your name. I promise. By June 30th, 2026, I will remember your name. So I'm bad at names. So, and then someone brings this guy, sits him down at my table. It's like, crap, I gotta meet somebody, I gotta talk to somebody. He said, you need to interview this lion. I go, oh, for my assistant. Yeah, so I'm giving him these survey questions. He just says, when we get to this one, he says, because he'd been a lion for just a couple of months and just shot to the top. After just a couple of months, district governor appointed him the success chair for the district. And he hadn't been a lion 6 months yet. That's how gung-ho he is. And he was like, I did not join Lions to go to meetings. I joined Lions for service. And then you know what he says? I propose ideas. This guy, young whippersnapper, 30s. The guy makes a lot of money in real estate. It's just like, I've got a single daughter. Would you like to meet her? Guy's just one of these real, you can just tell, he's a good person, but just these new Lions, they come in, they're so full of energy and enthusiasm and excitement. And they come up and they propose these ideas, and someone says, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. That is the stupidest fundraising idea I've ever heard. We don't do that here. We tried that back in the 60s and it didn't work. And we are not going to do gluten-free vegan pancakes ever again. Because it bombed back then, and we ain't trying nothing new. So we don't want to hear from you young upstarts. You just sit back and listen to us. Then you wonder why these new Lions don't make it to the third year? So what can a club do to look more like the community it serves? Club members must be involved in the community. The community needs assessment. You need more diversification. So at my club meeting just this past Tuesday night, when I was telling them about my plans, for becoming district governor, what I wanted to do, what I wanted to change, I was like, we're just a bunch of old white people here. If a lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, transsexual, non-binary, queer person came in this room right now, including this room, would we even feel comfortable? Probably not, because I know my club wouldn't. But yet, they're part of our community. And all we do is ostracize them. Yeah, I may not agree with their lifestyle or their sexual preferences, but my word, they're a human. And if they want to become a Lion, why are we stopping them? Why are we putting up roadblocks? They can serve their part of their community. We just need to support them, even as uncomfortable as it may make us. And some people say, well, that's what club branches are for. Then you're just kind of like just pushing them off to the side. You go do your thing and leave us alone. And I also said, in no disrespect to Lion David Moose there, I'm just like, I'm a Christian. Everyone in my Lions Club, there are like 3 churches that make up our entire membership. We got 2 different churches of Christ and a Presbyterian church, and that's our entire membership. And I'm just like, but we're a non-religious organization. So by offering a Christian prayer when we start our service, are we excluding Jews, Muslims, Hindus, Buddhists? And someone said, well, do we have those in our community? I go, yeah. There's a Jewish synagogue just right down the road. There's a Hindu temple the next town down the road. There are other people in our community, and I know we're patriotic, But I know that by saying the pledge, are we excluding people? Because I don't think we'd ever get a Jehovah's Witness to show up at a club meeting, because I don't think they do the pledge. They don't do birthdays, they don't do Christmas stuff, so what are we doing to exclude people by the way we conduct our meetings? So, bottom line, why do you think a Lions Club dies? Lots of answers. Now, what the number one alphabetical one is? Boring. Everything is boring. But you know what? If you're serving, if you got active service projects and you're constantly doing service, you're not bored. My grandson, when he comes over to our house, he goes, I'm bored, because I'll turn off the Wi-Fi. I'm bored. I go, smart people don't get bored. They know how to read. They know how to go out and play. They know how to go out and do things and build things. And, there are things to do. You don't have to sit there all day long with an iPhone or an iPad in front of your face with no human interaction. Cliques. Man, I have beat my club up so much over this. So as the person who gets the food, I come in and I got all the bags. And I go, okay, tonight's Chinese. And go, okay, all right, this is person A. Person A sits here. Person B always sits here. Oh, person C always sits in this chair. Because I can actually go and put the food down in front of every chair where everyone sits, because everyone sits in the exact same place. And they go, well, we don't have cliques. Yes, you do. Because you four always sit on this table and you always talk to each other. These six sit on this table and these three talk and these three talk. These three over here never talk to those four. These three over here never talk to these four. And don't tell me we don't have cliques. And so when someone new, a visitor comes in, and we sit them down, people are just like, that's my seat. That's where I always sit. Go sit someplace else. Matter of fact, after I gave this presentation on April 2nd, the next 3 club meetings, I would not let anyone sit in the same place 2 meetings in a row. I made everyone move. And then I started doing my club visits. And when I came back Tuesday night, guess where everyone was sitting? In their original spots. So I'm like David Moose, I'm the preacher, preaching to my club. I ain't got anyone to hear me yet. So, club officer manipulation. I couldn't believe that one, but yes. You get someone who's been the club president for 20, 30 years, or the club treasurer for 20, 30, 40 years, you ain't going to tell them what to do with the money. I'm the only one that knows where all the dollars are. Matter of fact, we just had a club that actually kicked out its treasurer. The new treasurer is a CFO. You don't think that CFO knows how to check books and account balances and stuff? Took that person, I think, like 4 months. Their bill with the LCI had been paid, and they were literally in the last week before LCI was basically going to kill the club because they had gone so long with no non-payment. And she was like, I'm not comfortable. I don't know where the money is. And they finally just had to write a check, didn't want LCI killing them. But, you can get toxic club officers like that, which I know it's like no one wants to be secretary, no one wants to be treasurer. But clubs that have a secretary for 15, 25, 35, 40 years, club treasurer for that long. You know, I'm not saying I don't trust, but it's just like, when's the last time your books were audited? Isn't that actually in the Constitution? That we're supposed to be auditing the books? So more, again, lack of training. No one trains. And I'll repeat that, no one trains. Whose clubs in here actually have new membership orientation and training on a regular basis? Yeah. All right, so I don't see any buckets of tar, no bags of feather. So now it's time for Webster's conclusion, how we can put a stop to all this. Conclusion number 1, be kind. The wife of Bob Carlew, Lady Diane, she actually, I think, wears a hat or she wears something, because I don't know what her husband's presidential theme was, but her thing is kindness matters. Be kind. Do kindness. So be kind. Teach new members. No new lion should join Lions, go to a district meeting, and not understand anything of what's going on. That should not happen. Respect new and longtime members, and listen to new and longtime members. One of the longest serving Lions I interviewed said he feared being left out, being alone. When new Lions come in and new Lions want to do service projects that have never been tried or done before, fundraising stuff has never been tried or done before. I mean, he was almost choking. He says, I fear being left out. I fear being left alone and no longer needed. No lion should feel not needed. So new lions, old lions, both of them should feel needed. Because that was one of the earlier reasons, why do lions leave? Why do lions leave clubs? Why do lions quit? They didn't feel needed. They joined and never did anything. So if I'm not needed, I'm not going to be paying all this money for dues. Don't put people on committees or projects in which they're not interested. Now, I know I'm the guy up here presenting and being waving my arms and all this stuff, but I'm actually, my personality is I am shy, quiet, and introverted. You can put me up in my home office and I can have absolutely no human contact whatsoever other than asking my wife what's for dinner, and I'm perfectly fine. Put me out on some deserted South Pacific island, and as long as I have internet access, I'm fine. I don't have to interact with anybody. I don't have to talk to anybody unless it's on a Zoom. You know, there's none of this personal, because believe it or not, I don't do good with that. Please don't ask me to be on a fundraiser or to go out asking for money. I may have to go to my doctor and get some Xanax or Prozac or whatever it is that you take for anxiety stuff. Because I mean, literally, I would almost double over in fear that I'm going to have to go and talk to somebody I don't know and ask them for money. So if someone is not interested in a project or being on a committee, don't put them there. So I had heard by a rumor that I had been put on my district's constitution and bylaws and resolutions and rules and procedure committees. And I was like, Oh, I am? Is there a copy of this Constitution somewhere? So I downloaded the district and downloaded the multiple district. And I saw so many things wrong in our multiple district Constitution. So I found out who the council chair was and I emailed her. And I said, hey, you know, this sentence is confusing because this sentence here says that the council chair can be a current district governor or a past district governor, but 2 sentences later it says the council chair can only be a past district governor. And this sentence says the council chair gets a vote. This one down here says the council chair doesn't get a vote unless there's a tie. I said, it's so confusing. And besides, you're missing a comma here. There should be a semicolon here. I'm a technical writer by trade, if you can't tell. I was like, here, all these things. And she goes, are you coming to the MD12 organizational meeting? I said, yeah, I was planning on coming because I wanted to see what goes on. She goes, okay, good. Would you like to be the chair of the Constitution and bylaws, rules and procedures, and the resolution committees? I was like, I've never been on a committee before, but sure, why not? So I'm the chair of 3 committees, plus the one for my district. And guess what? It's all about rules and procedures and processes and looking at things and figuring out, you know, all this jargon and how all this stuff fits. And I am just absolutely ecstatic. Because I'm just like, oh, this is so much fun. And my wife was like, stab me with a needle in the eye till I'm dead. And then my daughter, who built the slide deck, she is an assistant manager for a property company in Oklahoma City. She loves auditing paperwork, so much so that her company actually sends her to properties that they acquire, and she'll spend like weeks going through all their paperwork. Are all the leases done properly? Are all the rents collected? Do they have all the security deposits? Do everything balanced and stuff? And my wife says, stick me with a needle in my eye till I'm dead. And my daughter says, this is so much fun. And my wife's just like, that would be so boring. All right, kindness is a language that the deaf can hear and the blind can see, says Mark Twain. Kindness. When you're dealing with new lions, you're dealing with old lions, you're dealing with conflict, you're dealing with fear, kindness. Be kind. Conclusion number 2. Now that I see that there are no bags or buckets of rotted fruit and vegetables out there for y'all to throw to me, I'm going to go on with conclusion number 2. To be unclear is to be unkind. If you punish a kid for something they did wrong that they didn't know was wrong, you're wrong. Because they did not know of the behavior that was expected of them that they just got punished for. So you were unkind because you were unclear. Some people you cannot make happy no matter what you do. I was raised in the hospitality restaurant. All three. Both of my daughters were servers. If you've ever been in the food service industry, you know there are some people you cannot make happy. If someone is complaining about their meal, you could replace everything and give them the most expensive stuff on the menu for free and tell them they could eat there with their family and friends every day for the next year at no charge. And they'd say, you couldn't pay me to eat here. I'll never come back to this place. I'm going to take out a newspaper ad and tell everyone how bad the service was and how horrible the food was, and I'm going to put it on Twitter and Facebook and that Grammy thing and everything else and let people know. You just can't make some people happy. And unfortunately, same thing with some lions. There are some lions you just can't make happy. Sometimes you must ask people to leave. So there's an eminent philosopher from Bird Island, Minnesota. And he says, sometimes you just gotta shake things up. And that's what we're gonna do here. We're gonna shake things up because we gotta ask some people to leave. So you need to be clear, set the expectation that this club no longer tolerates rudeness, yelling, screaming, or throwing a fit. Because like I said, there are some clubs where members are like a 3-year-old in the cereal aisle. I want this, I want it, I want it, I want it. And that's how they act. And if you had a guest at that meeting, or a new member at that meeting, you think your guest is going to want to come back? You think your new member is actually going to pay their dues and stay in the club? Probably not. But you have to set that expectation. Reminder, to be unclear is to be unkind. So we're going to correct a member and remind them of the unacceptable behavior once. On the second instance of inappropriate behavior, take the new or the now former member's badge and ask them to take their talents elsewhere. Drop them. Now you're going to get, I would say, 2 kinds of responses to that. You're going to get, some people are just going to go, and just walk out the door. But you may also get a member that says, ooh, I didn't know you were actually serious about this. I would like to stay. All change. I think that's called repentance. Give them a chance to change. If they seriously want to change. If you don't see any improvement, show them the door. But if they seriously want to change, let them change. Let them show you that they are willing to change. So why do we need to ask members to leave? Because if a member, regardless of longevity, club status, or position, and position can be club, district, multi-district, or international. If that person is killing your club and driving away members and making life miserable for others, that member must leave. Oh no, but that would cause us to we'd lose membership and we need their due money. Really? Why? They're killing your club. Why do you want them to stay? Why would you want that person to stay? I don't understand it. Why some clubs put up with this stuff, all in the sake of, well, we can't drop, this is October, it's membership drive month, and we don't want to drop during membership drive month. We don't want to lose a member, our numbers will go down. Well, we need their quarterly or monthly or annual dues. If they're killing your club, why? So asking the member to leave benefits the club, the district, and Lionism. Conclusion number 3. Now, before I change the slide, because as soon as I change the slide, you're going to say, what the heck has this boy been drinking or smoking? What the heck does this have to do with lions, Lionism, and clubs dying? The sound of silence. So, this song, it's about the inability of people to communicate with each other, which in my opinion is a huge problem in Lionism. In this song, silence is synonymous with darkness or blackness. I had a friend who did a tour of duty in Afghanistan. And he was telling me about this mountain they went up to one afternoon. And they stayed until darkness. And he said, with no human lights around for hundreds of miles, the blackness was unnerving. He said you could put your hand right in front of your nose and you could not see your hand. You could not see the person 1 foot to your right or your left. He said that kind of blackness is scary. And he said you literally freeze. Not cold, but you're afraid to move because you don't know what's in front of you, behind you, or on either side of you, above you. Hopefully you're sitting down so you know what's below you, but you can't see anything. It is so black. And he said, you would speak, and because there's nothing for the sound to bounce off of, he said you couldn't hear anything. He said it was eerie. So, silence. So this topic is present from the first universally known verse. Hello, darkness, my old friend. I come to talk with you again. So Paul Simon has no one to talk to but the dark, whom he tells almost like a confession about his dream. The first theme of the vision is loneliness. He finds himself walking alone on a narrow path when the flash of a neon light suddenly lights up the cold light. He is dazzled by it and tells us that the glare is icy, naked, and unnatural. The neon conveys an ideal of cold modernity, serving as a symbol for our present day technical society, which has replaced the traditional warmth of the fireplace with the impersonality of artificial light or the glow from our electronic devices. So hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again because a vision softly creeping left its seeds while I was sleeping. And the vision that was planted in my brain still remains within the sound of silence. In restless dreams, I walked alone narrow streets of cobblestone neath the halo of a streetlight. I turned my collar to the cold and damp when my eyes were stabbed by the flash of a neon light that split the night and touched the sound of silence. And in the naked light I saw 10,000 people, maybe more, people talking without speaking, people hearing without listening, people writing songs that voices never shared and no one dared disturb the sound of silence. Fools, said I, you do not know silence like a cancer grows? Hear my words that I might teach you. Take my arms that I might reach you. But my words, like silent raindrops, fell and echoed in the wells of silence. And the people bowed and prayed to the neon god they made, and the sign flashed out its warning in the words that it was forming. Then the sign said, the words on the prophets are written on the subway walls and tenement halls, and whispered in the sounds of silence. So what does this have to do with Lionism? Well, the third verse is the key to the song and the core of Simon's vision. The light reveals a multitude of people, likely meant to represent humanity, but for us, lions. They're not acting normally in his eyes. Their actions are void of significance, and they seem disempowered and alienated. Paul Simon realizes that too often, people speak with each other just to speak without communicating. Talking without speaking and hearing without listening may sound like contradictory terms, but they are carefully chosen expressions hinting at the meaningless of most present-day personal interactions. Now, I'm sure some of us have been in situations where we're trying to talk with somebody, and we're speaking, and we're speaking, and we're speaking. And what's the person doing? They're not listening. You know what they're doing? All right, what's my response going to be? Oh, I got a retort for that. Or they're coming up, man, I've got some real sarcastic response to what? The first words they said. But they never listened to what you were saying. So one of the conflict resolution things I've been taught was we have a disagreement. So why do you think so-and-so is wrong? You tell me. And I say, okay, so what I heard you say was, you repeat it back to them. Did I hear you correctly? Yes, I did. Is there anything else you would like to add? No? Okay, so what I heard you say was, I had this problem between us, and this is what I feel, and this is what you said. Is this correct? Yes. Okay, now we can go toward resolving our conflict. Now it's your turn. You tell me why you think, and then I'm going to tell you, and then you're going to respond the same thing. Okay, what I heard you say was, and then I can tell you if you actually heard me and listened to me. And then we can have that back and forth with no yelling or screaming or throwing of fits or pointing of fingers. That's how we can help resolve our conflicts. So, I have some quotes for you. Oh, well, there was the third. So, the 10,000 lions, maybe more, talking without speaking, hearing without listening. That is what we have to stop. So what are you going to brag about on your deathbed? Look at the success I had. Look at all my accomplishments. Let me ask you a question. How many of you joined Lions to get awards, honors, and titles? Good. No, you will wish you had done more that mattered, that your life had more meaning, more purpose, and more significance. Let me ask you a question. How many awards, honors, and titles did Mother Teresa have? I have no idea. What's Mother Teresa known for? Her love, her kindness, her caring, her compassion, her service. I can't name you one award, honor, or title she got other than Mother Teresa. People know her by her service. This from Dave Ramsey. When you are gone, will people say you left an impact, that you left a mark? Put this on your club. When your club is gone, will people say your club left an impact, that your club left a mark? I will say that if your club is a club of service, active, continuing service, not just ice screenings in September, but service throughout the year, you will have an impact. You will leave a mark, and your club will never turn in its charter. What's the most important thing on that tombstone or headstone? That dash. For us, for people, there will be an end date. For clubs, I hope clubs never have an end date. Now, there are some clubs, there are some Lions that are very frustrated. There are some Lions I interviewed that want to quit. They're tired, they're exhausted of putting up with. We don't do it that way here. We don't do that here. We don't do those type of service projects. We don't do those types of fundraisers. That's a stupid idea. That's a dumb idea. How dare you come into our club and try to tell us what to do? I want to leave you with this quote. Those Lions, I want to leave you with this quote, a paraphrase quote from Winston Churchill. Never give in. Never give in. Never, 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 never. In nothing, great or small, large or petty, never give in, except to convictions of honor and good sense. Never yield to force. Never yield to the apparently overwhelming weight of your antagonist. Those Lions that are telling you that you are stupid and dumb and ignorant, and we don't do that way here, and how dare you try to tell us what to do. No, you are the Lions we need. We need you to stay a Lion. We need your commitment. We need your service, because after all, forever and always, we are Lions. And what do Lions do? We serve. Now, before we end, I would like our funeral director to come back up here and say something to us.
Thank you, Lane Carl. The pulpit robe got a little warm, so I packed it up. Just over 50 years ago, I attended a Lions Club meeting in London, England. Would you believe they'd never said the Pledge of Allegiance? And they didn't sing God Bless America. They did sing God Save the Queen. We're Lions around the world, but we're distinctive according to where we live and what our customs are. But as Carl suggested, we need to examine those to see if we're shutting some people out. You know, as a retired United Methodist pastor, it's a little hard for me to tell people not to pray in the name of Christ. And when we're at church, we do. When we're at Lions Club, should we? My club has a Jewish member, a recent past president. My club has a Muslim member. My club has Methodist, Presbyterian, Baptist, heathens, and some unknowns. So it's my custom to pray in God's holy name. However, our club members understand God's nature. That's just a challenge I want to pitch out to you. There is a song that I found to be universally appropriate, and this may surprise you because it's commonly associated or thought of as a Christian song. It's used very frequently in funerals and often in churches. Amazing Grace. When you get home, look at the words. There's no reference to it, no identity of a deity. And so when I did a memorial service for District Lions a few years ago, we used Amazing Grace because it can be wholeheartedly sung by people of any faith. And what surprised me was later in the meeting, the visiting international director got me off to the side and he thanked me for the memorial service and the song selection. And he said, You know, being in America, most of the times when I'm speaking in the lines, there's an invocation and they pray in the name of Jesus. They don't know that I'm Jewish. He appreciated sensitivity to our universality and our diversity. When that diversity exists, I would venture in all of our communities. And in all of our communities are good-hearted people of various faiths, or even no faiths, who still believe in serving people less fortunate. I believe it's time for Q&A. I hope you've got some good questions for Lion Carl. He came all the way from Tennessee to be put on the spot.
All right, so I'll go, before we go to the Q&A, I just wanted to say to the people watching the live stream and those who may be watching this video later on the Lions of Kentucky website or YouTube or the Global Lions forum, that you have my permission and the Lions of Kentucky permission to share this video. You can share it with Kiwanis, Rotaries, Optimists, Civitans, literally any civic or service organization can use the underlying message of this presentation, not just Lions. There's some stuff in here specific to Lions, but this applies to almost any civic service organization or religious organization. There is a handout. There are a few handouts here. The Lions of Kentucky are making the handout available on their website, and I'm sure there will be links at all the various places where you can watch this video or are watching this video to where you can download the handout and print it out if you so desire. So as we get ready for a Q&A, in order to give the video person a little bit of time, I wanted to give you a few quotable quotes from some interviews I did that didn't quite make it into the survey questions. So we'll leave that up as we move around, potty break, whatever you need to do before we enter the Q&A session. Thank you.